You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your IT Fundamentals certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. In this episode, we will define 4 major categories of programming-related languages that appear on the IT Fundamentals Plus exam: scripting languages, query languages, markup languages, and assembly language. Each of these serves a specific function within IT environments, and none are considered general-purpose programming languages. The exam focuses on your ability to recognize these categories, understand their purpose, and identify examples of each. You will not be asked to write code, but you must be able to associate the right language type with a task or technology. This topic is included in Domain 4 of the IT Fundamentals Plus certification under language categories. Exam questions may ask you to match a language to its category, recognize which language is used for web formatting or data requests, or select the correct description of a scripting or assembly language. You do not need to memorize syntax or perform any programming tasks. The focus is on basic conceptual knowledge, knowing what these languages do and where they are used. Scripting languages are used to automate tasks and control system behavior. They are typically interpreted rather than compiled, meaning the code is read and executed one line at a time during runtime. Scripting languages simplify automation and are widely used in web development, operating system scripts, and task automation. Examples of scripting languages include Python, JavaScript, and Bash. Common uses for scripting languages include file manipulation, task automation, and system configuration. On websites, scripting languages like JavaScript make pages interactive by responding to user actions or updating content dynamically. In system administration, scripting languages are used to automate repetitive tasks such as backups or user account creation. These languages operate through logical steps handled line by line, making them easier to test and modify. Query languages are used to interact with databases. Their main purpose is to request, retrieve, and manipulate data. The most widely used query language is SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. SQL allows users to perform operations such as select, insert, update, and delete on relational databases. These commands allow precise control over how data is accessed and changed. The features of SQL are structured and based on a standard syntax. Users write commands to interact with database tables and define how results should be filtered, sorted, or combined. Query languages are focused entirely on data and do not include logic for automation or user interface design. SQL is used in web applications, business systems, and reporting tools to manage relational data efficiently. Markup languages are used to describe the structure and formatting of documents, especially for display in web browsers. These languages do not perform logic or execute commands. Instead, they define how content is arranged and styled. Examples of markup languages include HTML and XML. These languages are read by web browsers or document processors to render text, images, and layout. HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, plays a central role in web development. It defines the structure of a web page, including headings, paragraphs, links, lists, and images. HTML is often used alongside CSS for styling and JavaScript for scripting. When you view a website, your browser reads the HTML and transforms it into the page you see. Markup languages are essential for formatting and presenting content. Assembly language is a low-level programming language that sits just above machine code. It uses mnemonics, which are short commands like MOV, ADD, or JMP, to represent binary instructions. Each instruction corresponds directly to a specific operation on the hardware. Assembly language is platform-specific, meaning the code is written for a particular processor or architecture. Assembly is known for being hardware-dependent and offering precise control over system resources. Programs written in assembly require an assembler to convert the code into machine-readable binary. While not commonly used in most modern application development, assembly is still found in embedded systems, device drivers, and performance-critical routines. It is difficult to learn but provides unparalleled control over the hardware. These four language types, scripting, query, markup, and assembly, are grouped together because they serve very different but specialized purposes. Scripting is used for automation, query for data interaction, markup for formatting, and assembly for hardware control. None of these are general-purpose programming languages like Java or C++. The IT Fundamentals Plus exam emphasizes recognizing each category based on its function and context. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. To better understand how these language categories differ, it helps to compare them directly. Scripting languages are used to perform tasks and execute logic. Markup languages, by contrast, are used to organize and describe content. While a script might automate a software update, markup would define how that update message is formatted on a web page. JavaScript is an example of a scripting language, while HTML is an example of a markup language. The IT Fundamentals Plus exam may present a question that asks you to distinguish between these types based on how they function. Comparing scripting to query languages highlights another important difference. Scripting languages manipulate systems, files, or web behavior. Query languages focus exclusively on retrieving or modifying data within a database. For example, a Bash script might automate a backup of system logs, while an SQL query might retrieve a list of customer orders. Scripts are procedural and event-driven, while queries are structured and data-focused. The exam may ask you to identify which type of language would be used to search a database, or to automate file cleanup. Comparing assembly language to high-level languages shows how much abstraction modern programming has introduced. Assembly is low-level and closely tied to hardware operations. Each line of assembly code translates almost directly into machine instructions. High-level languages like Python or Java abstract away these details, letting the programmer focus on logic rather than processor-specific instructions. Writing in assembly is more difficult and time-consuming but offers more control. The exam may use this comparison to ask about the purpose or characteristics of assembly. Each of these language types appears in different parts of the information technology environment. Scripting languages are used in system automation, browser-based interactions, and web servers. Query languages are found in database engines and data-driven applications. Markup languages are used to build web pages and format data for viewing or exchange. Assembly language is used in embedded systems, firmware development, and cases where performance and precision are critical. Recognizing these roles will help you answer task-matching questions correctly. Questions on the IT Fundamentals Plus exam that cover this topic usually follow a few common patterns. One format asks you to match a language name to its type. For instance, identifying SQL as a query language or HTML as markup. Another format might describe a use case and ask you which language type would apply, such as scripting for automating file movement or assembly for managing low-level hardware control. A third format may require choosing the correct example based on a brief description. There are several terms you should memorize for this topic. These include HTML for markup, SQL for query, Python for scripting, and assembly for low-level control. Also remember the general category terms themselves: script, query, markup, and low-level. The exam will not ask you to memorize syntax or commands, but it will ask you to identify which languages fit into which categories based on purpose and behavior. Clear recognition of these terms is essential. It is important to understand what is not required for the exam. You will not be expected to write scripts, compose database queries, format HTML pages, or write assembly code. The exam does not include any syntax, code execution, or debugging tasks. You are only required to understand what these languages are for and how they differ from each other. Keeping your focus on definitions and roles is the best way to study this topic efficiently. One of the key skills you need for this topic is recognizing a language's purpose based on a task description. If the task involves web formatting, the answer is markup. If the task involves data retrieval, the answer is query. If the task involves automation or logic, the answer is scripting. If the task involves direct hardware control, the answer is assembly. Practicing with this type of functional matching will prepare you well for the exam. To conclude this episode, remember that scripting, query, markup, and assembly languages each serve distinct roles within the information technology environment. Scripts automate actions. Queries manage data. Markup defines structure. Assembly controls hardware. The IT Fundamentals Plus exam focuses on your ability to identify these types, understand where they are used, and match them to the tasks they perform. Mastering this material ensures success on language classification questions in Domain 4. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.